Hey guys, it's Julian, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make modern acid techno like Thomas Schumacher. As usual, you can get the full project file and samples and MIDI and presets right at the top of the description. It's available for just $5 on my Bandcamp. If you guys want to support me, it's a great way to do it. And yeah, let's dive in. So, this is a loop you heard in the intro. We're at 128 BPM. The first sound that we have here is the kick, which sounds like this. So this is a pretty standard rumble kick. It starts with just this kick sample. You can hear just like a nice fat, not too long kick, but just very hard hitting. Like if you look at the transient on this, you can see just how big it is. And yeah, and then we're putting it into this rumble rack here. So what this is it's two chains. We've got the punch. And then we have the rumble. And so the way that the rumble is being made is really simple. All it is it's just some delay. Like this signal's being delayed. You can see it's 100% wet. We put that into some distortion, which you can hear really brings out that low end. And then you just filter it. And there you go. Now we have just the rumble. And then I have it sidechained to the dry kick. You can see it's on that pre-effects there. And then we also have this EQ here just cutting a little bit of room for the punch of the kick. And boosting the lows. And yeah, and then after that, on everything, I like to do something usually to kind of glue the rumble and the kick together, you know. It's kind of like the bass and the kick are the same thing with this style of techno. So you need to really try to glue them together. So that's what this drum bus is doing. Here's without this. And then with it, so you can hear it just really, not only adds a lot more punch to the kick and makes it hit more, but it's really gluing the punch and the rumble of the kick together. And yeah, that's it for the kick. Like I said, really simple. After that, we have the 303, which sounds like this. So here's the pattern for this one. You can see it's not super complicated. It's really just like 3 notes. It's just, if you look at this, you can see it's just D sharp, F, and F sharp. And then these notes up here are just F and F sharp up an octave. So yeah, really simple. When you're writing these kind of like more modern acid patterns, I'd really recommend just picking like 2 or 3 notes. Like it could be like this. Like if you notice, you can see we have that F is the root note since that's the one you hear the most. And then we just go up to like F sharp and then down -2 to D sharp. You know, just maybe play with that scale and try just like writing something really simple, but kind of creative rhythmically. If you hear this, you know, like we have that do-do, do-do-do-do, stuff like that, you know? You know, it's all about just adding stuff in like that to kind of make it exciting. But the sound with this one is made using operator, and you can see we have a saw wave. I've got the amp envelope set like this. This is pretty important. I've noticed like with the more modern kind of 303 sounds, especially like when I was comparing this to Thomas Schumacher's tracks and even other people's tracks, like, you need that like shorter, kind of tighter 303. If I turn this to stereo, yeah, it sounds kind of more like electro house or something like that. But if you turn that down, you get this like nice, very tight 303. And then it's all about just setting the decay right. Like this is probably like the perfect decay setting. And that's something I really spent a lot of time dialing in. After that, we have the filter. And so basically what's happening is we have the saw wave, and then it's going into a bandpass filter. And as you can hear, that's how we get the 303 sound. So what's happening here is we've got a bandpass, we have an envelope on it. Again, same deal as with the amp envelope, you know, just like something quick without too much sustain, because if we start to turn that up, we kind of lose the 303 sound. Although that could be fun to automate, maybe like in the break or something. But yeah, so there's just a little bit of an envelope on there. The key also really is just not using too much because we're moving the filter frequency, as you can see. So if you do too much, what's going to happen is like when it's too low, it'll be good. But then when it goes up and you can hear it's like way too sharp. So if we just turn that back down to like 17%, There we go. And then I've also got a sine shaper on here. This just helps to kind of fatten it up a bit more and make it a bit more like a sort of juicy sound, so to speak. Here's without it. And then with it, so you can hear, it just adds that little like oomph to the sound. And yeah, then after that, we have automation on the filter frequency as well as the resonance. So you can see, I just kind of have this coinciding with what's happening in the pattern, like, or in the MIDI, I mean. Like, for example, when this jumps up here, they're both opening up a little. And then as it's going back down, it's closing. It's kind of like, this is what controls, like, the feeling of this. It's like if you want it to flow nicely and have it kind of fit into your track, you just have to be strategic with your frequency and resonance automation on this. And you'll also notice that they're not jumping up too high. Like, you really don't need a whole lot because this is a bandpass filter. If it's a low pass, maybe that wouldn't do much, but with a bandpass, if we start turning this up too high, it just becomes like pew, pew, pew. But if you keep it kind of lower like that, you still get that really juicy 303 sound. After that, we have an amp. Here's without this. And then with it, so you can hear that's just giving the 303 like that crunchy sort of texture. I'll show you really like without any of the distortion on here. So here's what this sounds like, just dry coming out of the synth. And then I started with the saturator. Okay, that gives it, the basis for the sound. And then the amp. Just gives it that extra bit of like crunch there. So yeah. I really recommend stacking distortions if you're trying to make this kind of a sound. Like, it's all about the little nuances in this type of 303 sound. And the way you get that is, rather than just using like one huge distortion, using like maybe two or even three, like I've done here with the two. And just kind of stack them and get different things. So yeah, we got the amp and the saturator. And then I have this echo here. So here's without this. So you can hear this is just giving the 303 a little bit of stereo width. What's happening here is I have the delay at this really, really fast time. You can hear it's almost like metallic sounding. And then I put it on the ping pong setting, so the two ears are like going back and forth. But yeah, it's just a really cool way to kind of add some stereo width to the 303 because I think this is really important for that modern kind of sound, is you need that really like, that fullness to it. If you don't have this, you can hear, it just feels a little bit flat, but when you add this, it brings it to life. So yeah, that's on there, and then we have the saturator like I talked about. Then we just have an EQ8, because even though this is kind of a bass, you don't want all that low end in there, because it still has to play with the kick. But yeah, then after that, the last thing that we have on here is just this auto pan. This is just kind of simulating being sidechained. You can see we have the phase down to 0, the rates at quarter notes, and then we have it on a saw wave. And it's inverted, and then it's going up like that, so. Yeah, you can hear that's just kind of making it fit in with the beat a little bit more. You can't really sidechain things to a rumble kick like this. But this makes it sound like it's being sidechained, and this keeps it so the kick is still the loudest thing in the mix. If I turn this off, it's easy for the 303 to overtake the kick, but this keeps it kind of fitting like that. And yeah, that's it for the 303. After that, we have the drums. So the first one here is this open hi-hat, which just sounds like this. This one's pretty simple, just your standard sort of big techno open hi-hat. With this one, you can see I high-passed it a bit. And then I added this echo using the exact same effect that I had just shown you on the 303. Here's without this. So it's just giving this a bit of stereo width and making it a bit bigger, Simple, but it really makes this stand out in the mix. After that, we have the ride, which sounds like this. So So this one's pretty simple. You can see the pattern is a standard sort of like thing like you hear in a lot of techno. And yeah, I've just got this pitched up a little bit. I've got it high pass. After that we have this pluff, as I've called it, which sounds like this. So as you can hear, this is really simple. It's just going tss, tss, tss on the quarter notes. All it is just some white noise with a short envelope going through a high pass filter. And then I have a little bit of an auto pan to make it kind of move from ear to ear. So this is just like a simple sort of background thing. Really, this is something that you would have in the track. And like you may not hear it so much at this part, but say like we're just getting out of the break. You're having that pss, 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 pss happening. It's actually adding a lot of energy. Versus like if I turn it off, it's not quite as energetic without it. And now you get that pss, pss, pss between the two hi-hats. So that's the purpose of that, you know, it's just one of those simple things that you can do. It's not going to take up too much space in your mix, but it's just going to add a little bit of movement and kind of help to bring it to life a little bit with some of those other drums. After that, we have the closed hi-hat, which sounds like this. Really simple, just playing straight 16th notes. And then the last drum sound that we have here is this percussion, which sounds like this. So what this is it's this little like clave sort of sound, and then what I've done here is I brought it in, and then you can see I pitched it using the D-tune here. I tuned it to F because that's the key we're in. If I turn this D-tune off, you can see it is technically F, but it's not in key. You know, it sounds a little bit weird, but if you just put this up, you can get it using the tuner. There we go, now it's perfectly in key. So yeah, I really recommend doing that. Like if you have a sound like this that is meant to be pitched and it needs to like be in key with the track, don't just get it so it's the same note. Really sit there and get it so that the scents are perfect. And even like, there you go, now it's right on. And yeah, and then this is just something that I've heard in a lot of Thomas Schumacher's tracks. Like he'll usually just have it kind of like, you know, playing with the kick like that. Maybe we pitch down an octave. But just having something like this. Like you hear this in his tracks Wonder and Embody. Pretty sure it's in the Foz as well. Like just having this sort of like it's just adding something that isn't just like, you know, just these drums on their own. They don't really have a pitch to them, you know. It's kind of just like ambiguous because it's just drums. This is meant to be like another thing on top of the 303 that has a pitch to it without taking up too much space. This is kind of like that little ploof sound. Just having little things like this that aren't taking up too much space that add a lot of energy to your track is going to make a huge difference. And the only effect on that is just this auto pan. You can see I have that kind of like bouncing up in volume, just like with the 303. Then on the group of these, all I have is just a little bit of saturation. You really don't need a whole lot if you have like very high quality sounds like this. Like if I turn this off, you can hear like it's really not doing too much. It's just adding that extra little bit of oomph. And then kind of just gluing everything together a little bit as well. It's kind of like I was saying with the kick. Like, when we put the kick and the rumble through that drum bus, and then, you know, process them together at the same time through the same effect, it's going to glue them together. Same deal here. The saturator is just kind of gluing all these drums together a bit. And yeah, so that's me for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the full project file and samples and MIDI and presets. All of that stuff from this video is available right at the top of the description for just $5 on my Bandcamp. Like I said, very nice way to support me. And yeah, thank you so much everybody, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.